The federal opposition appears to have had a change of heart regarding the government's emissions trading scheme. After months of stalling, Malcolm Turnbull now says he's ready to negotiate.
And for more on this, the opposition spokesman for emissions trading design, Andrew Robb, joins us now. Andrew Robb, good morning and thanks for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good morning, Virginia.
So what's shifted in the mind of Malcolm Turnbull and also the opposition? Have movements and decisions made in the United States had a great impact on the way you're seeing the design of an ETS here in Australia?
Well, there's two things about it. Firstly, we have been saying now for, well, many months that we should not conclude any sort of bill in Australia until the United States, you know, the shape of the United States bill is clearer. Now, the first step of that occurred on Friday when a bill went through the lower house. The content of that had been known for some time. There's still other major steps to take place with that bill to go through the Senate in the United States. But with the United States being 1/3 of all of the emissions in the world, we're only 1%, then it's absolutely critical to be in step, if you like, with the United States, not be well out ahead, otherwise we'll be very uncompetitive. Now, we are concerned that we be informed by what's happening in the United States and other developments around the world. Malcolm Turnbull said yesterday that we are prepared and looking to negotiate in the months ahead. Now, that is no different to our position that we have maintained for some time now. We are concerned to get this scheme right. It is the biggest deliberate structural change in our history, and it's very important that we get the nature of the bill right so that we actually do reduce emissions but don't do material and, you know, irreversible damage to major industry and jobs.
Well, your leader, Malcolm Turnbull, clearly said over the weekend that when Parliament returned in August, you'd be in a position to present amendments which you hope the government will accept. But just looking at the way the Australian population...
No, I'm sorry, Virginia.
That's the quote that I'm reading from the paper, is that that you'd be in a position to present amendments. Not true?
No, he was asked... Well, I've spoken to him since, and I'm very clear on what was in his head, and I've read what he said, and it's consistent with what he's told me subsequently, and that is that the coalition is looking to find what amendments would be necessary to make what is at the moment a deeply flawed scheme something that would be acceptable. He did not put a time frame on it. We have said all along our preference is to wait beyond Copenhagen and until we know more broadly the shape of the United States scheme, and until we do some modelling. We've had to commission the modelling ourselves because the government won't do it. So he's not putting a time frame on it, but we are very constructively looking, and have done for some months now, to try and get this scheme right. I'm off to the United States in a few days' time, into Beijing, again to be better informed about, you know, what the rest of the world's doing, so we're not out of step with them.
All right, well, I'm not trying to tie you down to a false timetable here, and it seems that this whole discussion is stretching out to an endless point anyway. But look, I did just want to put to you on the issue of amendments, and the government's had its say about what it, you know, will and won't negotiate on after a period of negotiation. What the Australian population, according to one opinion poll, is clearly saying today, that the ETS, that scheme as announced and as proposed by the government right now, 65% of Australians, according to the Nielsen poll, accept that as it is right now. Now, isn't that something that as an opposition you have to listen to seriously?
Virginia, I would say to you that 95% of Australians would not have the foggiest idea what is in that bill.
Now, what do you base that on?
They would not be able to...
What do you base that on?
Well, from all of the contact I've had with people around the country, which has been 95% extensive.
Of
you know, I'm just saying to you, what people are saying, and quite legitimately are saying, is that they want something done on climate change. We accept that. We had a bill in front of the Parliament 12 months before the government had a proposal. So we are looking to do something in a very constructive way. What we've said, though, is that the bill the government has come up with is deeply flawed.
All right, well, but let's be clear here. Okay, and you have said that repeatedly, but let's be clear here. When that figure of 65%, those Australians looking at the emissions trading scheme as proposed right now, unamended by the government, that's acceptable to them. You don't accept that view. They're not to be listened to.
No, what I accept is that the Australian community, and we have accepted, and we support it, is that people want something done. Our responsibility as the opposition, we're the ones who have got the capacity to look in detail at what the government's got on the table, to confer widely with industry and green groups and others. This bill is friendless at the moment. The only people supporting it are the government. The only people who support the detail of it are the government. We have a responsibility to keep the government accountable and to make sure that when bills do go through the House, that they are in Australia's interest and they are the best bill possible. This is such an issue of such significance that is very important for us as an opposition, for the crossbenchers, for the Green Party, for all of the groups in the Parliament, to make sure this bill does what the government says it will do. At the moment it will cost lots of jobs and do very little about emissions. At the moment it fails on all fronts. So we have to get it right. We have to get it right, and if we do that, we will satisfy the will of the people but also have good policy.
Just finally, on the opinion polls that have been published in papers right across the country today, and in every opinion poll, the position of your leader Malcolm Turnbull has crashed. It's his approval ratings now wallowing in unsustainable levels. Will he be the leader when Australia next goes to the poll?
Yes, I've got no doubt about that. I thought, notwithstanding, the events of last weekend, with all the elements of it, from the fake email and the shadowy Treasury official, Senate hearings and all the rest, it assumed a sort of soap opera type atmosphere last week, and I think that reflects, what's happened in the polls this week.
So you think he'll come back?
But we have to. I do think. I think this. When you get a soap opera type environment, it's unreal. When we settle back into issues such as the $300 billion debt and the government's responses and what it will do to protect jobs and all the rest, those issues